Let's make a plant-based New York style cheesecake. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today, as a request from our supporting members, this was the #2 winning vote from last month's vote. It is a New York style baked cheesecake. So delicious. So we are going to get started with our crust. You're going to need a food processor for this, and I already have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. So I have 1½ cups of almond flour, a ½ cup of organic rolled oats, 2/3 of a cup of pitted dates. These are Deglette dates, but you can use medjool dates, either one's fine. All right, and I have a little bit of water here, but we're gonna wait for a second. We're gonna blitz this until it's really finely crumbled. And then if it doesn't stick together on its own, we're gonna add just a little bit of water until that mixture starts sticking together on its own. You don't want a really sticky mass because we're kind of going for that crumbly graham cracker type of crust. So you want it just a little bit sticky. Okay, so now we're at the fine crumble stage, so we're going to add just a little bit of water. And I think I may have made a mistake on the date mixture or the date amount. It's 1 cup. There's 2/3 of a cup in the filling. So we're going to add just a little bit of water at a time. All right, that looks about perfect. All right, so you're gonna need a springform pan for this, and this is, I believe it's an 8-inch or 9-inch springform pan. If you have a smaller one, that's okay too. You'll just have to adjust the baking time. You might have to bake it just a little bit longer, but either one will work just fine. And if you don't have a springform pan, you could make this in another type of pan too. It's just easier to get out, and the presentation is so much nicer when you use the springform. And I've already lined this with some parchment. I just cut a round disc in the bottom, and then I cut strips for the sides. And that is really kind of important for these so that it doesn't stick to the sides at all. Because there's no added oils or anything in this, they will stick to these pans if you don't have parchment paper. And I always add just a little bit of water. I just kind of sprinkle it on my hands and put it on the pan itself, just to kind of get the parchment paper to stick just a little bit, because you don't really want it moving around a whole lot when you're trying to stick it on up to the sides. Just going to pour that into the bottom. And then you're just going to start pressing that around, and you want to come up on the edge probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches up the sides of the thing. So press it into the bottom and then kind of work your way up onto the sides. And it is a little bit crumbly, so you just have to have a little bit of patience and work with it. Okay, there we are. Now that our crust is on, pressed in, we're gonna put it in the oven for about 8 minutes. We're just trying to kind of create a little bit of a seal so that the cheesecake filling doesn't really seep into that crust. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order. Okay, so now that our crust is baked, I'm letting it sit over here while I put the filling together. And the filling ingredients might sound a little interesting to you or unusual, but trust me, it works in the end and it's completely amazing, delicious. All right, so we've got a cup of chickpeas that have been rinsed and drained, a cup of cashews, 1 cup of silky tofu, 2/3 of a cup, there are those dates, 2/3 of a cup of pitted dates, 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Yes, I said nutritional yeast. You won't taste it in there, but it is necessary. And 2½ teaspoons of vanilla. And then we've got 3/4 of a cup of water. All right, and for this, you're gonna need a high-speed or a high-powered blender. If you don't have a high-powered blender, my suggestion would be to soak the cashews first for at least an hour or so, and then drain off that liquid if you're just using a regular blender. Now we're just gonna blend this up until it's super silky and creamy. Okay, wow. So silky. Love it. All right, so now you're just pouring that into your crust. And your oven is still at 350, so you don't have to worry about that. It's already preheated. All right, now just smooth that down on the top. And that's gonna come up to the top of the crust. It might be just slightly over it, which is completely fine. That's kind of how a classic cheesecake looks anyway. All right, there we go. Now, we're just gonna stick it in the oven for 40 minutes. And it, like I said, if you're using the 6-inch or a smaller cheesecake pan, you might have to go up to something around 50 minutes. You wanna just, when you look at it in the oven, the top, or if you touch the top and press a little bit, it should be pretty firm. That's when you know it's gonna be done. All right, into the oven we go. Okay guys, it is out of the oven and I let it sit on the countertop for about 15 minutes to cool off, just so, just in case. It makes it a little bit easier to take out of the spring form. So let's get this spring form off here. There we go. Take the paper off. Wow, look at that. Gorgeous. Perfect. It turned out great. All right, so come on in for a closer look. Looks great, smells great. Now all that's left is take a taste. So I'll meet you at the table for a taste. Okay, let's go in for a taste. Oh, it feels so nice and soft. And it smells delicious. Okay. And normally, just the New York style cheesecake, it's plain by itself here. Look at that, gorgeous. And then after this, I would put it in the refrigerator for at least a couple hours or maybe even overnight, and it'll set up even firmer. And then I just made a simple little berry compote. You can use whatever topping you like. This is just I blended some blueberries and just a couple dates and a little bit of water, because that's what I like. Here we go. Whoa. That is so creamy and smooth. You are going to love it. All right, guys, come on back next week for another great recipe.